What the CCP does is it puts into place a very sophisticated and often very subtle process of psychological manipulation. I mean, I think it's accurate to describe it as grooming. And they identify and target key members of elites, political, business, academic elites, as people who might be induced one way or another to be drawn into the circle of CCP influence. And so they're very much focused on individuals. It's a very clever and subtle process. And so we track how this happens. Certain individuals, such as very prominent academics like Jeffrey Sachs, like former political leaders, like former Prime Minister Paul Keating here in Australia, who somehow get drawn into this CCP view of the world and get rewarded for it through sinecures, through flattery, through meetings with Xi Jinping, and so on.
I talk a lot here about, Chinese influence here in the United States. Can point to myriad different politicians, ambassadors even like Max Baucus, straight up working for either the Chinese government or Chinese connected enterprises and touting the CCP line. How is it that they've been able to do this, not just here in the U.S., Europe, Australia, and all over? Is it just money? I mean, are so many of these people, are they willful participants in propaganda? Or is it that they just find themselves caught up in a mechanism where their entire financial livelihood will disappear if they start telling the truth?
I mean, money obviously plays an important role. For oftentimes it's very profitable for people to do this. But I think another really important factor in why this has been working so well is that it has been completely normalized. And that is in part due because we simply do not fully understand what the Chinese Communist Party actually wants. So in a way, for a number of years, these kinds of ties and this kind of activity has been portrayed as absolutely benign, as being a net plus, as, having absolutely no harm and only bringing positive exchange with China. So it's really been normalized. So even people really didn't have to think twice before doing it. And for the longest time, none of this was challenged. And this is something that I see not only in the United States, but also in the United Kingdom, where this is currently being discussed very, very heatedly, that it's simply been normalized and nobody would even challenge the concept of these kinds of ties.
So we're not talking about China here or Chinese people, stress that. We're talking about the Chinese Communist Party. Is that it's secretive, it's coercive, and it goes on behind the scenes. So it's hidden the way it works. And this is why when we, Marika and I, for example, in our book, call people out, they become very upset because suddenly the CCP agents who have been operating undercover, as it were, that is agents of influence, have their cover blown. And so in the United Kingdom, for example, two of those people have sent legally threatening letters, claimed that we've defamed them because, we're telling lies. But in fact, what we're doing is just lifting the cover off, shining light on the CCP's activities. And the one thing the CCP loves to do, that is operate in the shadows, which is the wonder of a democracy with a free press, that we can actually put the spotlight on them.
Mm-hmm.